Mm. Okay, you should be able to hear me. Hey, you're coming. I can hear you now. You're good. That
Warning, incoming game over. Warning, incoming game over.
Well, you can't say the Flames didn't make that one interesting as the Flames take down the Edmonton Oilers by a final score of 5-3 shootout. And you know what? The Flames could lose every single game. Lock in Gavin McKenna. I would still be unhappy if you taking down the Oilers. Just what I needed. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I needed that too, especially that start when they were up like 3-0. I thought it was done and dusted, but then some lucky bounces got back into us. And thanks for the Flames for getting it done at the end.
Can't do the Yes, as I said, welcome back to a Calgary. We are so glad to be back for regular action. Obviously, we did the pre like everyone else. We were bumps and bruises of technology out of the way before this game happened again. So we're gonna try and run this a little bit. I'm not gonna call it a tighter ship. Y'all know me; I can't keep dependent on it. We're gonna try and run this a little bit different than we have in the season. Try and keep this rundown a little bit shorter. But as I say that, have a 7-round shoot cover. So let's get to it, Anand. As you said, the Flames didn't start off all that hot if we're talking about the scoring summary. The Flames did manage to limit the Oilers to one shot through the 5 minutes after the Oilers started pouring. Ryan Nugent Hopkins scores on the power play. You just can't give this a man advantage. Expect to win a lot of games. Just to Anand Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. Shocking. Shocked to hear are involved in this.
Yeah, you can. It will be very hard to keep them off the score sheet. But if you manage to do it some night, I give kudos to the Flames or whichever team they're playing. But McDavid and Draisaitl, what a combo that you can fear of. Maybe the ultimate fear of anybody, you could say.
Yeah, and truly, as they said, a 15 veteran huge comes in, finds having some audio issues. That went out.
I can hear you fine.
Okay, it cuts the other second. Hey, give me 1 second. All right, it was a noise gate issue because I used to have fans in here. I apologize, folks. It is still game one. As I said, we tried to use the preseason to get everything off the ground, but apparently did not iron them all out. So yeah, as I said, Ryan Nugent Hopkins, 15-year NHL veteran, came in from the point and tapped that one home, and McDavid and Draisaitl are just too good to let them take extra times on the power play. Hopefully, I fixed the audio issues, folks. Cut out the noise gate. We've made it all simple. Much better.
Gabriel says no. Okay, man.
Much better. Got it. So yeah, that's the first goal. Obviously, we you only got about half of what I was saying, but I think everyone knew what happened. Draisaitl, McDavid, Nugent Hopkins back to the net. Don't give them any extra power plays. I think that's pretty much the pathway to success against playing against the Oilers. But then, of course, I know we don't talk about betting just as a as Andrew said in his whole message to everyone in that work. If you haven't read that, go on over to the Game Over website. Read what Andrew said about why we invented this whole Game Over. But if I was a betting person and we did have a betting sponsor, I would have bet on Andrew Mangiapane to score. It seems like every time a former Flame comes to town, or it's their first visit, obviously up in Edmonton, they score. I should have put dollar bills on on the line because I would have taken free money from Bet365 or your gambling site of choice, but I didn't. But Andrew Mangiapane scores a goal. Assist to Connor McDavid and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Tell me if you've heard those names before.
Yeah, that was obvious to me. Like I guessed at a couple of multiple places without any gambling or anything that Andrew Mangiapane would be definitely on the score sheet. It was of when and when it would be done or if it was going to be a hat trick, but at least one goal I said it would happen.
Yeah, and it's just number 97 playing keep away as he so often does. I was talking to somebody about how soccer has changed from this hero ball where you don't have the Wayne Rooney dribbling through defenders, or you don't see Cristiano Ronaldo even doing that anymore. It's a team possession game, but in hockey, 97 seems to be one of two guys that can do it. Oh, and number 29 over there also seems to be okay doing it, but hands off to Mangiapane. Mangiapane scores, and water is wet. Actually, no, water isn't wet. What water goes onto becomes wet regardless. And Tokay number 1 with the comment, I bet the bread man disappears for the rest of the season. Remember, we still have 3 more games against the Oilers this year. He'll show up at least 3 more times. So that's all for the first period. Edmonton leads in shots 9-4. And the Flames were leading, as I said. They were up 2-1 for the first 7 minutes, but the Oilers poured it on at the end of the period and got a couple past Wolf. Not to say that Dustin Wolf was playing poorly in the first. I don't think you had much of a chance on either of those shots. And I just got to say, our lower pairings really kind of let us down today. That was the pairing of Bean and Pahal on the first one. And I know Derek Wills loves the Joel Hanley Mackenzie Weegar pairing. I cannot stand Joel Hanley. It's such a drop down. Like, on most teams he's a 7th defenseman, not playing with your top guy. We'll hold that conversation for later though. And then the Flames, so we go to the second period rather. And that Leon Draisaitl guy, we've said his name once, we'll say it again. His first power play goal of the year, his 400th goal of his career. And also you get Tomasik's first assist of his NHL career, playing in his first career game. Kind of weird. Well, we had rookie laps on both sides today. So, and I know the Oilers actually had a couple rookie laps. Not like the Flames last year when they had the 4 in the final game, but I digress. Assist to Tomasik, who had that nice touch pass in front of Wolf. And Ryan Nugent-Hopkins gets the secondary. And as we say, you just cannot take penalties against the Oilers.
Yeah, penalties and even like if you have one break come in play, like you said, Conrad just moments ago about the defense pairing, Hanley and Weegar, even if you take one break of a shift, then you are in for a miserable run. Whether if it's special teams or just regular 5-on-5, you are in big deep trouble. And of course, Leon Draisaitl uses that goal to make his 400th NHL career goal. Congrats on that milestone. And then Tomasek with his first NHL point as well.
Yeah, they're going to have to go get the saw out to saw that puck in half. I think that's how they should do it. But from that point on, the Flames take over this hockey game. As they said on the broadcast, I have another point for rants and raves, how I hate that it was the Oilers broadcast. I understand Sportsnet doesn't want to send both broadcasting crews, but it's the big 2-5, as they say on TikTok. We need to have a way that's Sportsnet, if you're watching the stream at least, you can pick which audio. Like, I know we do that through junior hockey throughout Canada. How can we not do that at the highest level? Like, we'll get into that later in our rants and raves section. But, like, as the Oilers commentating crew said, the Oilers had this one for about 37 minutes. And then they very much didn't. And speaking of the rookie laps, Matt Gridden gets his first goal of the year. I don't think the 19-year-old will necessarily play the replay when he tells his grandkids about how he scored his first NHL goal. I'm sure he'll say it was a beauty in the Battle of Alberta, not one that bounces off a young defender. But your first NHL goal is your first NHL goal, and you can't do it twice. And just good play by Nazem Kadri to spot the youngster, and a bit of a spinorama that was looking to go back across, but it's still a goal.
Yeah, lucky buns. And like you said, after that 37 minutes, the Flames took a tide for the turn, for the positive end. And when we all thought the game was done and dusted, they brought some life. And then congratulations to Matvey Grid. And now the question is, I hope this brings a point to the coaching staff that he was much better than a few others, which we'll talk about later. Uh, how long will he stay up, though? That's the question.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate part. We'll talk about that later. Being 19, that means you're not eligible for waivers. So, unfortunately, that's a part of our game that we always have to pay attention to. But then let's go into the controversial goal. A goal that wasn't challenged by the Oilers, but went to the replay center. Connor Zary, they call it a batted shot. I think it was called on the broadcast a squeeze bunt. Connor Zary pinched up his hands all close, looking almost like he was looking at a Derek Skubal fastball coming at his orbital bone, but bumped it back into the net just using the heel of his stick that was below the crossbar or at least level with it. It finds its way under Stuart Skinner's glove. 3-2 Calgary. And I think this is where the wind really came out of the Oilers' sails. Like, I think they figured there's no way that's a goal. You saw three Oilers' hands go up in the air saying that the stick was high, but it counts. And like as I've said, we don't have cameras in the posts. We don't have that technology in the game. The refs are doing the best they can with technology that's given, and I think we need to bring, as I said last year, we need to bring back the phrasing video inconclusive, the play on the ice stands. And we noticed that the referee did say the goal stands, not confirmed. Has the NHL gone back to that terminology, which I think is one of the best things that we can have? Who knows? Goal counts. What were your thoughts, Anand?
Yeah, that goal, especially from Zari, I had to watch it a couple of times to see and understand where the puck was batted out of. Like I think it was big because it's below his blade. That's how they counted it. And like you said, in soccer we have the net cam. We can decide if it crossed the line or which angle it was shot him from. So maybe it's time for the NHL maybe to invest in a net cam too. Just saying, maybe they have the money to do it. They have the technology has improved a lot. It's possible. So
I think the one area where the NHL would kind of like be shy away from this at this point is we can't put it in those iron posts. 100% I agree. But I think in every building you can put a webcam size camera embedded in the glass and have it right at crossbar level. That gives you a even plane where you can see if the stick is higher or lower. We don't have that. As you saw, the war room didn't have that view. If you had something like that where it's just a plane across, it removes a lot of these judgment calls. But 3-2 Calgary Flames. And then, oh my god, I swear Stuart Skinner must be on the Calgary Flames payroll. Has the puck rolled to him to start the third period, kind of hovering the stick over it, can't make the decision, doesn't put it in the corner, leaves it right in front of him, and Blake Coleman just rushes in, pokes the puck by him. 3-3 tie ball game.
yeah, and Stuart Skinner is so excited to be on the Canada's Olympic team too. So just an
Yep.
FYI.
Ooh. Yeah, don't remind me that he's still on. The Stuart Skinner Jordan Bennington tandem is going to give me heart attacks. But hey, it led the Flames to tying this game up, and I'm sure there's going to be lots of angry calls on Edmonton sports media, and I don't know what they're saying on Fan 960 or any of the other call-in shows tonight. But boy, oh boy, it's maybe a goal the Flames didn't necessarily deserve, but Blake Coleman has to put himself in the right position there, right? Like, this is a veteran who has been the grinder throughout most of his career after being, as Denaman says, the leading goal scorer back in 2023. This is a wily vet that knew that, hey, I have to make the goaltender make a decision. If he makes the wrong one, I can get this in, and a goal's a goal. We've said it twice today. So that takes us to 3-3. We're tied up. Overtime solves nothing, even though the Flames started on the 4-on-3 power play. Get a couple opportunities there, and then they stifle 97 and 92 long enough to get it to overtime. Or 29. It's 29, right? Draisaitl? Yes. He is. I should know that. I had to draft him in the fantasy league. So let's go
Say a
to the...
quick point, though, Conrad. Sorry, one second. Quick point on the power play. The 23 seconds, like you said, well done by the Morgan Frost. I've been really impressed by him. He got a couple of nailed in consecutive shots on front of Stuart Skinner. So I think that almost solved, like, had a chance. Flames had a couple of chances.
Yeah,
But
and then
again, like you
Kadri...
said, gone unsolved.
And then Kadri got one off the cheater of the glove at the end of the 4-on-4 that eventually went up and out of play. So, you know what? I'll take it. I'll take the effort, and I'll take the point as we head to the shootout. The Oilers choose to lead off, and they lead off with Connor McDavid. He made one too many moves, which is not something I'll often say for Connor McDavid, and put it right off the crest on Dustin Wolf's chest. Good job by Dustin to stay tall. And then you predicted this one as soon as we saw it was going to the shutout. Do we see the Kirkland signature? I don't necessarily like starting off with Justin Kirkland. I think he's better a little bit lower down that shoot-up lineup. But we saw the same move, and it stopped by the toe. The first goaltender who has stopped Justin Kirkland. The previous two have been stopped by posts. So the first goalie to stop the Kirkland signature move is Stu. And we go Leon Draisaitl. He's the next shooter. Gets Wolf to bite and goes around him. 1-0 Oilers. But the fast to slow move from Morgan Frost beat Skinner glove side. Somebody you said you were very impressed with. What did you think of the fast to slow move? Because it's the same one he used twice in the preseason.
Yeah, Morgan Frost had a nice sneaky technique to get past through. And but yeah, I think it's sneaky one though. It will get goaltenders, but yeah, we'll see how much it improves. But yeah, Morgan Frost indeed has been impressive with his shot selection, I would say.
So the Oilers answer with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. He kind of just takes a shot from just inside the hash marks. Blocker to side by Wolf. And then another surprise for the Flames. Going to Rasmus Andersson early on the broadcast, I said he's actually 50% on his career in the shootout, which kind of like had me raising my eyebrows. 4 for 8. Tries to go 5-hole, and Stuart Skinner barely kept that one in. It was like right between the heels. It had gone through 5-hole, but does manage to get that stop. David Tomashik then tried to do the similar move to Leon Draisaitl, which Wolf just barely got that blocker hand out to stop. I actually thought he was going to drop the stick to get the blocker all the way back. The Dominic Hasek, I don't need this stick. It isn't helping me anymore. Just get as much extension as you can. Matt Coronado denting the post with his shot. He went to the similar fast to slow move that Morgan Frost used, but it's that quick release, man. It's elite in the NHL. The commentators chirped in on that. And then Isaac Howard, another debutant, tries to chip Justin Wolf, the Hobie Baker Award winner. Tried to go over Wolf and just missed the net entirely. Another 3 points for high school football, to quote Graham Mossman up there in Edmonton. Matt Gridden tried to go glove side. The sniper was stopped. Matt Savoy tries to go, or I think they're saying it's Savoy, tries to go post to post. And like, he's the third guy to do it. And the only guy that's been successful is the second best hockey player maybe on planet Earth right now, which was Leon Draisaitl. Everyone else that tried to test Wolf's lateral, just not even close. Sharky hits the other post because he comes the other way and shoots. Bouchard, I thought he was just going to go to the old Dion Phaneuf move whenever they threw him in on the shootout and just blast it. But it was kind of a wrist shot from between the hash marks, stopped. Connor Zary, too many moves, tries to go 5-hole, stopped. Kapanen hits the front of the crossbar. Oilers fans rejoice thinking it hit the back bar. Did not. And then Nazem Kadri comes in, adjusts his speed, goes the other way from everyone else on the Flames roster, gets Stu to bite, backhand dagger. The Flames take home a shootout win. So this is only the second time the Flames have ever come from behind in a 3-goal deficit in the entire history of the Battle of Alberta, as they said on the broadcast. Last time, and the only other time the Flames have come back, March 2011. So considering the rivalry going back to the movement of Calgary from Atlanta, that's a pretty big feather in the cap for this Flames squad. And the second time in as many years the Flames have had a big comeback in the opening game of the season. Of course, we have to look back to last year. Flames are down 4-1 after the first period, and the Flames came all the way back to win that one 6-5 with a Connor Zary goal in overtime. Just a little bit of
And
history.
that's where the success of Flames, I guess, started last season with that oh, comeback win, and then they went like 5-0, and that's how they ended up with the 1 point out of a playoff spot, which was again unfortunate. We'll see what it's gonna be this year. Started off a good note, of course. Still not a pretty game from the Flames. Just some unlucky bounces, but we'll see what this does into tomorrow. Now we play the Vancouver Canucks tomorrow.
Yeah, so that'll take us into period number 2. And I don't really have any ad reads, but as I mentioned off the top of the broadcast, Andrew Berkshire just put out a blog post about why we started this Game Over version 2.0 last year. I encourage everyone to go give it a read, as it does talk about why this organization exists and our short and long term goals. Eventually, creating a creator focused co op to go from side to side of this nation. But to do that, we need a little bit of help from you guys. We are looking to acquire new sponsors and people looking at joining in on the Calgary Flames momentum. If you go and give that a read, maybe show it to your boss, show it to your friends, show it to your family. Maybe one of them says, hey, I like what the sounds of this are. Let's try and reboot a local fan-focused media organization. And hey, remind everyone that we're the better part of this province and we want to get our sponsors funded before those Oilers guys do. But for period number 2, let's go to my notes. We have to talk a little bit about the roster today, because we all knew that it was going to be a long shot that Zane Parekh played in this game. Some people thought it would be more likely than others, but I think considering that it is Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, throwing your 19-year-old defenseman into the fire in the Oilers' home opener isn't a long way to be successful for Zane. What are your thoughts on that kind of mentality coming out from the Flames leadership group?
At the beginning, when I thought about the McDavid Draisaitl situation that you mentioned at the beginning, like even way before the game, I thought probably it's a good idea. Maybe he can sit and watch, he can develop. But then after being Hanley tonight, I thought maybe Perek could have done something better, something more.
And as much as I
Uh,
dislike
how do I
Daniil
say?
Miram, as much as I dislike Daniil Miramanov, at least he has wheels. Jake Bean looked like he was skating in tar at times today.
Yeah, and giving up, like there was that one goal that he could have maybe tried and cleared, but he just slipped on it and wasn't able to clear, like got trapped into. So I think Zay Perek could have done much better than what been, and maybe even Ball. I think at a couple of times he had some moments, but either way, I think. think Parek maybe like eventually he will have to play a Battle of Alberta game, whether it be maybe it was just a first game, maybe cautious, but eventually you need to give him a Battle of Alberta game and get used to McDry. Otherwise, you're not gonna experience the
But maybe we
phenomenon.
but maybe we can wait until that December 27th game where at least you have the last change so you can maybe try and shelter him a little bit. But that's looking forward a little bit too far for my tastes. We still don't know what Zane Perek is in the NHL. He is 19, and who knows, there is still the potential that he gets sent back to Saginaw. Now, I know that's not a popular opinion of me to say, but it could be the case in December. But just reading a comment here. I knew Bean's dad could get him on the team. His dad is no longer part of the organization. He retired. He's no longer the CEO of Calgary Sports Entertainment. We can't use that excuse anymore. I digress. Another interesting decision by the coaching staff was to throw Igor Sharangovich on line 4. Um, we all know that's not where Igor Sharangovich will spend a lot of his time. Whether this is a message to be sent saying, hey, there's all these rookies that are getting this time over you, or whether this is truly just, hey, you've been playing like garbage. Kick it up a notch. Here's your motivation. You don't want to play the rest of your season with Justin Kirkland and Ryan Lomberg. Not that I have any problem with those two players. It's just not where Igor Sharangovich's skills are best utilized, in my opinion. And I don't think that's a controversial one. Is this just kind of early game or early season motivational work, or is this a problem moving forward?
When I looked at his gameplay during the preseason and putting him for the fourth line, it's a problem. He wasn't as stellar as anybody was. Today also wasn't as noticeable from the rest, especially like a Matvey Gredin, who is just a 19-year-old. So I think it's a bit of a problem, especially I know he's coming off an injury from last season. We talked about him changing pre-game meal. Maybe we thought that would make him better, but I don't know if that has gone better yet. I don't know. Maybe tomorrow he'll stay on the fourth line again. But I don't know how longer can he be. But he needs to like 90% at least improve himself if he wants to make a climb up the ladder.
And we did see him a little bit in overtime. So obviously there is still some belief from the coaching staff that he still belongs on this roster. But as you said, kind of invisible. Only played 12:47 in today's game in that fourth line role, which was above his line mates of Kirkland and Lomberg. Kirkland actually the lowest time on ice of the team with only 8 minutes and 12 seconds played, which is weird because the center is usually the first guy over the boards. But anyways, yeah, not great for Igor Sharangovich. I thought maybe he would have gone to that the Lego store at West Edmonton Mall and maybe got his spirits up a little bit pregame, or maybe no, because they would have gotten on the plane tonight, so he can't go there tomorrow morning early. But who knows? Maybe someone delivered it to the locker room for him, and he'll be in better spirits tomorrow. Because the only option for the forwards, because the Flames are only carrying one extra forward because we're carrying 8 defensemen again, is the call up of Sam Honzek. And as much as I would argue that Sam Honzek maybe didn't earn that spot in out of the preseason, but maybe he needs to be there if it is just going to be that 10-minute line or 10-minute shift. We're expected to maybe lay the body a bit, be that energy line, because Sharangovich just, that's not where he excels.
Yeah, we'll see how. I mean, there is the back-to-back game against the Canucks tomorrow. We'll see if Honzek slots into Sharangovich's spot, but where will you put Sharangovich?
Eating
That's
popcorn.
the
building
Eat a
his
popcorn.
Lego and
Okay.
eating popcorn in the rafters. Or may hey, they sell. You know where the Rogers Arena is located in Vancouver? It's like right next to the Costco downtown. He can go buy his Lego at the Costco, have a hot dog, go up, build his Lego, get back in the game for the Flames home opener. Um, but from a negative, let's go to a positive. Matt Gridden. I thought he was one of the most noticeable Flames on the ice tonight, and that's a tough task when you are a 19-year-old who's thrust into a second line role essentially out of nowhere.
Yeah,
And
and that chemistry between Frost and Coronato, especially Frost, who was struggling last season. Coronato, we know what he's capable of. And if you trust him, even like Coronato and Matt Begrade, if you connect those youngsters and rookie, that's a great chemistry. I wish they can keep this Grade Frost Coronato for some time more, just until like Huberdo and Pospisil is ready to come back. I wish that line stays there for the eternity. But yeah, like you said, it's a bit of a tall task to see Graydon be the best player on the ice, but at the same time, impressive. Like nobody knew what he was gonna be, and with a small sample size already, he's showing his worth.
so I kind of looked at this line, and you're probably gonna say I'm crazy, fans in attendance, but it's kind of like the crazy guy in a western coming in, where it's Morgan Frost with two guns because he's got the two snipers on either side of him. He's got Gridded in one hand and Coronado on the other. Where am I gonna put the puck? Is it gonna be left gun or right gun? I got two, and I can approve of that moving forward. Just need to make sure that the puck gets. There's only one puck on the ice, so you gotta dish it out fair evenly between the two. And shout out to our friends over at Game Over Montreal stopping in chat to say Lol Stewart Skinner. Yep. And Nas is a bad, bad man. He certainly can be when he's on, and I think that's probably Kay saying that because he's not going back to Colorado. Kay, he's ours until the trade deadline. Then we'll talk. Um, but I think that's all we had to talk about here in period number 2. So that'll bring us into period number 3. But in this intermission between periods, please, if you are still in chat, give us a like and hit us up with a comment. I love all my lurkers. I love you out there. But let us know if you're here. Just throw an emote in chat. Just let us appreciate you the same way we appreciate guys like Gabriel, Matt C, Denim Man, Toke, KQ, Ball Hockey Videos. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for showing up. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, now is the time to get them in chat. And if you don't, I'm just going to ask you questions for our overtime period. And nobody likes answering my questions because they're always awkward and I'm weird. But that will take us into period number 3, where let's talk about some controversial calls, shall we say. Because I actually had to look up the NHL rulebook for the penalty that we had in the first period to talk about the deliberately knocking the puck out of play in the defensive zone. Because I thought in all of my hockey watching days, it had to be an intentional shot over the glass. But apparently, it can be deemed by a referee, again, it's a judgment call, if it was intentionally knocked with this stick, even if that stick is up in the air, if it's deemed to be an intentional whack over the glass, it is still puck over glass. So as frustrated as I, and I'm sure many other Flames fans got with that call, it technically is the right call, but I hate when we're putting judgment calls in the hands of the referees. Because how do you judge
Yeah,
intent?
I was a little confused about that call. Glad you went to the rule book to check it out. I didn't do that. I didn't go deep diving into it, but I do know where that caused a delay of game. I think it was swatted a bit intentionally into over top of the glass, but not with purposeful intent, but like partially, I would say. So that's where the call came from.
and I'm just gonna interrupt you. Sorry, Anand. Kay, I will find you on X or on Blue Sky. I will not come to Hamilton to find you, as you said at the end of your stream, because no one wants to live in Hamilton. We have a whole chant about it over at Cavalry. But anyways, I digress. Right call was made, no matter how frustrating it is, and that's why we have referees that know the rule book. So because they don't have Google like I do, they know it a little bit better than any of us. Um, our second frustrating call was the overtime holding. I thought that Mackenzie Weegar had a right to be as angry as he was. He gets his body in the right position. It's not like he's coming from behind McDavid. He's reached around, and I thought he got puck. But it's kind of that, I know Oilers fans always protest that they don't get calls because they have McDavid. I think that's one of the ones where the referee looked and saw, oh, it's number 97, who could have had a breakaway if Weegar, who's maybe the best defensive defenseman we have on this team, poked that puck away. I don't know. What were your thoughts, Anand?
Yeah, sorry, Mackenzie Weegar had his own arguments. Like it was his right hand over McDavid's left hand, that the broadcast pointed it out, and they just called it because Mackenzie Weegar was behind Connor McDavid. So that was the rationale that they called. But I didn't see any kind of holding, like holding. It was just hands kind of interlocking each other, kind of thing.
Yeah, like, if I hate to go back to soccer after just making a Cavalry FC reference, but to me, it's like when two defenders are going for a ball and they're shoulder to shoulder. It's not a non-contact sport. They're allowed to bump into each other. I don't know about that call. I'd love to see if there's something that the NHL PR puts out. Um, but yeah, it's going to be interesting because especially with that puck over the glass call, like we had last year be the year of what is a kicked puck. Like we asked that 3 or 4 times on Game Over Flames. Um, but like, is that going to be what the new rule and different enforcement's going to be this year? As we've seen it so many times where a defender has it glance off their stick and go out of play. It just seems like maybe this is a something that's been discussed either with the teams or with the officials to change how that's viewed.
There will be still different calls that we will disagree upon throughout the year. There seems to be always a new variation of something that's being called, and sometimes we'll agree to disagree to the officials. So it's going to be an interesting new season when it comes to officiating because of how fast the sport is and how it has become different from the olden times, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement to end the third period. That it is a fast game, and the officials have to think fast, and sometimes the rules need to evolve fast, and thus even us as fans get a little lost in the shuffle. But we're gonna go to overtime. I'm gonna scan my way through chat. Um, for a couple of comments here. I know Toke's had a couple of hot takes in the chat. McDavid's contract ends at around the same time our stadium is built, and when we will need a new captain. It is true. 2-year contract for McDavid, 2-year contract for Michael Backlund. Calgary's a much nicer city to live in than Edmonton. Who knows? Maybe that is the kind of the dark magic behind the scenes that nobody really wants to recognize.
I
Uh,
mean, like the idea of getting a new captain, but at the same time, I don't know if McDavid is the right answer. Just thinking about it, like technically wise. But if you were looking for a superstar, sure, why not? But again, Backlund also signed just 2 years with the Flames, so he's almost been near the Scotia Place opening night as well. So we'll see how this goes. Not saying it won't be done, not saying it won't happen, but yeah, I don't know how much I like that hot take or not.
Are we back to the days of leading goal scorer Blake Coleman from the Denim Man? I hope not. As much as I like Blake Coleman as a player, I hope he isn't our leading goal scorer for the rest of the season. But hey, he's tied at the top right now. Um, could be worse. Could be CFL or CPL reffing. I don't think we're far away from the CPL sometimes. Once again, thank you guys. I'm just reading all the way back for mentioning our audio issues. Once again, I installed new software between the last game of the preseason and game one of the season. Led to a few more glitches than I could work out individually. So thank you for giving us that patience and grace. Jax, how did they save Kadri till that late? Jax, I don't know if you're still around. But yeah, it was kind of weird that Kadri was that late. I understand doing Gridden earlier. You don't have a book on him like you do some of the other guys. Having Rasmus Anderson go third was a little strange as well. What were your thoughts on Nazem Kadri being that late in the shootout?
A little surprising, but not surprising at the same time. I was more surprised of what you call Rasmus Anderson going that early as well as Costco. I thought they would have saved them for the third or fourth. I really wanted to push out those Grid and Zari at the beginning compared to putting out the rest because you need to save the best for the last because the eventual scorer when I guess it worked tonight for Kadri. Good case for Kadri that he can shoot and win a game for us. But at the same time, yeah, I was a little surprised that Rasmus Anderson went ahead of Kadri. So I won't complain. Good win. So
So I know
yeah,
there's
little
somebody in
surprised though.
chat. I know there's somebody in chat who may have the numbers. Just popped in. Somebody we both know, Mackenzie Grafton, head writer for the Calgary Canucks. Or I don't know if he's still that former head writer. Or I won't know. Mackenzie, do you know what Rasmus Anderson's career percentage, or not Anderson, Nazem Kadri's career percentage is on this shootout? Because that might have explained why he's a little bit down if they're going purely on stats, which wouldn't be a very Calgary Flames thing to do. But while we wait for that, so we had a non-Flames question. Given how the Lightning Panthers preseason went, do you think the NHLPA will intervene? Do you have any thoughts on that, Anand? Because do you know what he's referencing? The all-out
Yeah, I
brawl.
saw that. Yeah, that war, that huge brawl that happened. I think the NHLP already intervened by having multiple different fines that went to charitable organization. So I would say they
Nice.
have intervened the best they can. I don't know if more, maybe they'll keep an eye out for situations like this moving forward.
I
But I don't think I've seen a nastier one than this just yet.
so I think how they've intervened was actually with the CBA. The fact that we only have 4 preseason games moving forwards means that you aren't going to see these back-to-backs where that animosity can be developed. As well, it's going to lead to less of these AHL filled rosters. So you aren't going to see teams necessarily throwing out guys that are just going to go out there and fight. Obviously, there is extenuating factors. It was talked about on a couple podcasts I listened to about how there was some bad blood relating back to the injury that had gone on in the playoffs between the two teams. Um, so it's going to be difficult to completely do something, whether you're the NHL or the NHLPA, to address this. I think the PA needs to kind of go to those teams and be like, guys, we don't need players taking season-long injuries potentially because it doesn't just hurt you and your pocketbook. It's guys that might not have an NHL career. So, is what it is. As I said, I think the 4 games will eliminate a lot of that just naturally because teams won't have as many AHLers to throw in or reason to rest their NHLers as long as they do. Ewig Oiler, thank you for tuning in. Good job, Flames, for exposing how weak the Oilers' defense and goaltending is. We did not deserve the wins Flames did. Wolf is the best in the NHL. I think it's a little early, but he said it was 7 in 49 before the goal tonight. I believe that's mentioning Nazem Kadri. So if it's around that 20% mark and the Flames coaching staff is deciding to just go surely based on career percentages this early in the season, maybe that's an understanding. But also Nazem Kadri loves to play in these big games, loves to be the guy in these situations with a puck on his stick. So you maybe will bump him up a little bit further in the future. And this will be our last one for the night from Tokay number 1 again. What's taking Conroy so long to flip Rasmus? Your best time to flip Rasmus Andersson, if you were going to do it in the offseason, was when it was at the draft. That has gone by. We no longer are at that point in time. We're the next best time to flip Rasmus is closer to the trade deadline. So we'll have about half a season to have Rasmus Andersson in this lineup. Hopefully that doesn't mean we get an extension. If it's a 1-year extension, then maybe, but you never see that in the NHL these days. But yeah, I think the opportunity to trade Rasmus for now has passed. We'll have to see what the next few months bring to town. But I just think that moment has passed. Are you in agreement with me on that one, Anand? I see you nodding your head lots.
Yeah, I think I've seen a few talks here and there, like on the social media front and all. Yeah, we might look more. I wonder if it's going to be maybe now more of a sign and trade kind of thing. I wonder, just because of course Flames have a lot of cap space, they can retain a bit. So I wonder if it's going to be a sign and trade. I don't know how imminent either, but Dallas Stars might be the front runner team for the Rasmus Anderson, or maybe Vegas Golden Knights. I know he declined a trade to Los Angeles Kings. So yeah, we'll see. It's going to be an interesting storyline to keep an eye out for.
Because I would hate living in Los Angeles. All those movie stars, all those palm trees. Ugh. Well, the only thing is there's a lot of traffic. But as I said, that's the last you'll see of us tonight. We'll be back in about 23 hours' time. As the Flames do play again as one of many teams playing opening.
We'll be back tonight itself, yeah.
Yeah, I guess it is tonight. 23 hours. Got it set up for 10:45. Hopefully the Flames are able to get into Vancouver tonight with the extra long shootout. Thank you so much for all of us here at Game Over. As we mentioned, head on over to the GameOver.com website. Check out Andrew's article. Check out all the rest of the network. I know Kay, who was in here for a brief minute with the Game Over Montreal. They did a show after the Leafs blew out the Habitants de Montréal. I know Ottawa is doing a weekly show now to kind of get to the new year. But give the rest of the network a shot, a moment of your time. And we will be back later today. Thanks, folks.